Hey, what's up? It's a beautiful spring day, and today we are going to be opening up those new cylinder heads that I got. Those ones. Not those ones. Yep, I bought another set. If you've seen my other eBay head video, then you know that set I did not buy myself off eBay. I got it off someone who did for a slightly better deal than they got it. Now, this set I did buy off eBay. And I paid a bit more. But I still got a pretty reasonable deal, I think. Now, the set is not exactly the same as the first set. But the third set, that set, is very similar to the first set. Although we're not going to cover that set in this video. We're going to cover this set. So, right now I got a bunch of junk everywhere because I just did this, well, I did this valve video and with all this, about all this stuff. But I messed up and I got to redo that video. So I got to clear up all this junk and we'll open up this new set of heads. Well, it's the next day because things are already going not as they should. But before we get to that, let me at least tell you what these heads are. Now, these heads are a brand name head, but they are also BLEM heads. That means that there is something kind of wrong with them, but they're still usable. And it's not what I just found, what I found yesterday what went wrong with them. It's something else. What it is from the brand, from the manufacturer, they're supposed to be 64cc chamber heads. And the reason they're BLEM is because they were over machined some, so they're 60 or 62cc heads, which is totally fine for my use. I'm going to put them on the C3 Corvette, which has disc pistons, so it'll work out. It's fine. A little less decks, a little less, a few less cleanups before they're used up. Anyways, the heads I got are BPE heads, Blueprint engines, and they are part number right here, H8002 BPE. Now, these are the older version heads, the older castings. You can see right here, they have a different, the newer ones are more just, shiny or flush, whatever you want to call it. These ones are the first version, and they're a 195cc intake runner. And like I said, they're supposed to have a 64cc chamber, but these have been, overdecked. Now, the problem with these heads, well, before I get to that, one more point. These heads are cast in China, but machined over here. So, kind of a, half-breed. Anyways, now to the problem I found is the first head I took out of the box right here. The deck has these imperfections. You see, this is the worst one right here where I can catch it with my nail. And that is right where the fire ring would be. And it goes right here between the cylinders, right here, and right here. So it's pretty much just a line across the head. Something hit it, or scratched it, or whatever. But you can see for yourself right here. Oops. Get on the other dowel. It goes right into the fire ring. So that could be a potential leak, and this head would need to be resurfaced. Luckily, it's prior to the 30-day return policy or whatever on eBay or something, I don't know. And I contacted the eBay merchant, and he's going to send me another head. So, awesome. So far, so good. But before I could contacted him, I went ahead and checked the other head, all the things I needed to check. So I would know I at least have one good head. And I had planned to do this video different, but because of this head, you know, I kind of had to skip around. I was going to do it in chunks, so this is what we got. I checked the deck of this head right here, and it's good. We checked all the bolt holes, you know, 3/8, 7/16, spark plugs, threads. All threads are good. I even took the valves, and the guides feel, you know, good. The valve seats, I checked just one cylinder real quick, and it checked out great, you know. Nice, you know, contact, so maybe a little wide, but for what I'm going to use for it, it's fine. This is not an all-out performance, you know, thing. This is just some cheap heads to get my car running. So far, things are looking up. I mean, a little delayed, but, you know, honestly, I myself procrastinated a little bit on this project, and I drug it out a little bit. I mean, I should have made this video a little while ago, but, you know, other stuff has been going on. You know how it goes. Anyways, let me reset, move this other head. I'll dig out some gaskets. We'll check the rest of these valves. Be back in a minute. Okay, we're all set up to check some gaskets. But before we begin, I just want to say, in case it wasn't obvious, these heads are bare, unassembled. So just FYI, they're just like my last set. I bought them bare because I already have most of the stuff I want to use on them except for some valves. I bought some more valves, which we'll get into that later. But back to these heads. I just whacked off a couple bolt heads because I couldn't find the studs I used last time, so we can check those gaskets. And before we get to that, I want to point out a few other things real quick. One, these heads, as I said earlier, could be 60, 61, or 62 cc's for the chambers. So I don't know if this head's 62 and that one's 60 or this one's 61 and so on. I wasn't too concerned about it, but just FYI, so you know. Now on to some other stuff. One, the locators I'm going to use fit on these heads. I don't remember the exact size. I'll caption that in later, but I'm going to be good there. And I'll take the same size seals I was planning on using as well. So that's good. Now, there are quite a few sharp edges on these heads, so I will have to, you know, deburr them. Well, the one I'm going to keep and the other one I'm going to get, not, this is the one I'm sending back. But they'd have to be deburred some because there's quite a few spots just handling them. I've almost cut myself. So just another FYI. Overall, the casting on these heads looks pretty decent. You know, it would take some minor cleanup if you really cared about every last bit, but not too bad. I mean, the exhaust ports are pretty decent as well. I mean, they're just, you know, good budget ahead, I think. Plus, I like these port designs. They're not the same as the other eBay heads. They're kind of based on an older design, but it still was a decent design. I mean, and once again, this is not all out max effort for me, so they're more than good enough. Awesome. Moving on. Another FYI is they have 3/8, you know, typical 3/8 NTP plugs in them. These ones actually come with the plugs. There's one there and one there, so a little extra bonus. They're you know, drill for center bolt or perimeter valve covers. I don't know why these are notched like that, but even when you look on the Blueprint website, their pictures are notched too. So I mean, it's something to do with the edging machining. I don't know. I mean, you will probably have to clean up a little bit of possible casting flash in some of the push rod holes I was looking at earlier. I mean, you might not have to, you know, just depends on your exact setup. But moving on to the gaskets, it looks like the 1404 Felpro is going to work out nicely for the exhaust ports. I mean, not perfect, but I mean, you could pretty much just slap them on and be, you know, pretty good. I mean, not too much finish work. Oh, we'll go look at this exhaust brush real quick while I'm thinking about it. Give you a quick view. Come on, cooperate here, light. There we go. Yeah, like I said, not too bad. Minor cleanup. On to the intake gaskets. Cooperate there. Okay, so first up we have the Felpro 1404. Sorry, 1204. Not 14, 12. And right off we can see the port alignment is off. I mean, stick my finger up in there, and you can see right here, there's a nice little bit of gap right there. This gasket probably would not seal unless you slot the holes. Put it, make sure it's going to be up and high. So this is not the gasket you want to use with these heads. It's close to the ports, but not that one. I mean, there's probably other similar port style gaskets that have a little more meat on them, but not the Felpro. So moving on to the 1205. And once again, it's, a little low. You could slot the holes. I mean, the coolant ports are still decent even when you go higher. Although these coolant ports are kind of small. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just one thing you can kind of notice right off the bat. But once again, once you push them up, they're not bad. So if you glue these in place, maybe slot the holes a little bit, the 1205 probably would be good enough. Not perfect, but good enough. 1206 I think is too big in my opinion. I mean, it just depends. I mean, you can make a 1206 work pretty good if that's going to work. If that's what you need for your intake. I don't plan on running an intake that big, so it's just I just keep a lot of gases around to check things out, and I like to compare things. And last we have the Vortec, the 1255. You can see it is not really a raised Vortec port, but they're not bad. They would work. And also, these heads are drilled for the Vortec intake. So they will work on a 8-bolt Vortec intake or a 12-bolt old style intake. So if you're not super picky, this gasket would work all around, I think. I mean, if you wanted to slap something together, either intake, I would use this gasket just to throw something together and get it going. It's just a nice thick gasket. I mean, if you use a sealer with it, I think that could be a pretty good gasket. So let's move on to something else I want to show you here real quick. Actually, let me put this head away. I'm going to show you on my head. And we'll get to that here in a second. And we're back again. I just wanted to box up that head real quick, because the dude's cool enough to exchange it for another head, and I don't want anything else to happen to it. I just wanted him to get it and see it how I saw it. So, let's get on with this. Okay, now I wanted to do a quick throat measurement for the bowls, but I can't find my freaking snap gauges. So, I was debating if I want to do a part 2 when the new head showed up, and it looks like that's a good enough excuse to do a small follow-up to this video. But anyways, we'll get on with this. Before I forget, I also want to mention that 1255, the ports weren't ideal, obviously, because these are more, trapezoid or whatever the freaking it's called, geometry. Oh. Yeah, that's a. Yep, I'm editing that out. Anyways, so like I was saying, you gotta trim the ports a little bit, but not. It didn't look like it was too much. So just I don't know what gas I'm gonna use until I know what intake I'm gonna use, and I'll figure it out then. But just that's my initial assessment. Moving on. The bowls, they actually look pretty decent. I mean, there's a little bit of a lip on the intake. It's just some mild cleanup. A few spots. Not too bad. The exhaust, though, you got a decent sharp ridge right here. You can see the machining down in there. I mean, it's light. And it's going to be a little bit of work to blend that in. I mean, you don't really have to do that, but, if you're like me and you want to get a little bit extra, that's what you got to do. Now, this is what I wanted to show here real quick. You see that little bit of lip right there? Let me get my little pick tool. That's from where they push the guide through. And you see that? So that's something I'm definitely going to clean up on these heads. I mean, you can see I don't see any cracks or nothing, but that's definitely going to need a little bit of, you know, I'm not sure if that's a normal thing. I'm not a head expert, but just, you know, FYI, there it is. So that's pretty much the assessment of the heads for right now. I'm going to go ahead and finish checking out these valves, and we'll give a quick assessment on them. I said in my last video that I bought some Elgin valves, and these are the performance valves. They come kind of okay packaged. I mean, they were just slapped together in that box over there, so, you know, I was expecting a little more better. I mean, the last set of eBay valves I had, they had these like these blue things on them. I don't know, where are they? Yeah, right here. These things, they were over the heads. I mean, this is not right now, but they were over the head so it could protect the valves better. And, you know, so far I haven't found anything wrong with these valves. But I'm going to go ahead and check them and make sure they all check out on that head. And, you know, they all show good, and none of them have to be, you know, redone. Oh, and before I forget, I lined this up for my last video, which, you know, you'll see sometime. This is a comparison. We've got the Elgin valves right here, and intake and exhaust. These are mystery valves out of my Sportsman 2 heads. And these are the eBay mystery valves, which I don't know. And then here's some Manly ones. You can see right here, the Elgin valves are not undercut as much. So that's just interesting. And if you want to look at the head styles, they're slightly different as well. Just, you know, little differences I find interesting. Oh, and the intakes. If you look at the intakes close up, we'll get these exhaust ones out of the way. You can see the Manly and the eBay are a little more flatter, where they got a little more of a dome to the other two, in my opinion. So, give me a second here to check these valves, and I'll let you know how that turns out. Oh, I almost forgot too, the part numbers if you're interested. There's the intakes and the exhaust. Good news, the Elgin valves check out all good. Some a little better than others, but they're good, so awesome. Also, the BPE head, I checked the rest of the valve seats, they're all good too. I even got out one of the original aluminum heads from my original eBay head video to compare the heads, just so you can see the differences. You can see right here what I was talking about earlier, because pretty much the new BPE heads look just like this one. I mean, I think even the pictures I've seen of the ports look the same. So, for all I know, they get them the same and just machining themselves. Who knows? But anyways, one major noticeable difference right here is the exhaust ports, of course. Compared to the other side, that's a, you know, this is part of a Felpro 1404. You can see the port right there. So again, the BPE exhaust ports are noticeably smaller, but you know, it's the bottom, not really where it's, you know, where you really want to carve out. I mean, it's depending on your use. A higher velocity exhaust port could be what you want. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a head flow expert. I just like to play around. So the fact that I'm actually going to use manifolds with these heads, that's probably a plus. But, you know, we'll see. What else? I dug up my postal scale and I actually weighed the heads to compare them. And the OG head is 20 pounds, 10.8 ounces. Whereas the BP is 22 pounds and 14.4 ounces. So a little bit heavier. I mean, I was comparing them, just, you know, overall looking at them, and I see, you know, there's a little more meat in some spots. And, you know, I was like, yep, this head's probably heavier. I mean, I just picked it up and I'm like, yeah, it feels a little heavier. So I went ahead and got the scale out, and now we know. Like I said earlier, I like to compare stuff. You know, just, you know, look them over and notice the differences. Now, here's the flange ports. Sorry, intake flanges side by side. You can see this. Remember, that one does not have those holes. I mean, and this set over here, it's kind of why I bought this set. I wanted to compare it because this is another generic eBay set that should be just like this set. But the ports should be different, and it should have those holes. You know, we'll see when I open that set up. But that'll be a later video, you know, when I get around to it. Let's compare the chambers and deck real quick. Side by side. Yeah. You know, they're both good designs. You know, modern designs. This one might be a little better, but I mean, really, over a lot of the other heads, this one's pretty good. So, there they are. If you're interested in any of those BP heads, here's the place I got them from. It's actually in Michigan, but I've never been there, never met the dude. This is not sponsored. I got it off his eBay store, and I was like, oh, he's in Michigan, so that's kind of cool. But, when I went in to grab a snack, I checked his website. Sorry, I checked his, you know, eBay store, and he's got actually 3 sets of the heads up right now, so if you're interested, check them out, I guess. Let's see. Okay, let's wrap this up. Basically, my next video is going to, the follow-up is going to be, I'm going to CC the heads, chambers, to see if I got 2 matching chamber heads, or if I got a little difference. I mean, I don't really care, but I'm kind of curious. We'll check out the throats, and, you know, I'll give you, you know, a quick, you know, assessment of the heads after I check it out. Otherwise, you know, it may be a little bit. I still haven't found my snap gauges, so I might have to, you know, order another set or whatever. It is what it is. I mean, I might have loaned them out, so if you're watching this and you got my snap gauges, holler at me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll get the other video out probably in a little while, and I still gotta get to those other heads. So, you know, we'll get to it when we get to it. Thanks for watching. Keep it real.